The Green Bay Packers were underdogs at home against the Indianapolis Colts. They took it personally, and then they got physical about it in a 16-10 win that was not even as close as that score indicates.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Today's episode, a Victory Monday episode, or live streaming on Sunday on YouTube episode, brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. The Green Bay Packers on the ground absolutely bullied the Indianapolis Colts. 261 yards on the ground on 53 attempts. A 16-10 game that was not even as close as the final score indicated. A missed field goal in this one, a fumble going into the end zone from Josh Jacobs in this one. The Packers, look, shaking off some early season rust, no doubt about it. They could have scored more against Philly. They could have scored more against Indianapolis. In this case, you're just going to take it and you're going to run. You're going to take it and run as far as you possibly can go. And we'll talk at the end about the sustainability of this model. But the way this game started, 10 quick points to open the game. The interception, ultimately the Packers get 3 interceptions. They have now 5 interceptions in their first 2 games. They had 7 all of last year. More on the defense to come. I loved the way that this offense moved, looked, played, acted early on. The downhill run game, the horizontal run game, the motions, the shifts, the personnel usage. They had it all early on. Now, what happens in a game like this is if you don't really make hay early on, defenses in the NFL are too good. The Colts, their personnel, they're fine. They're too good to get bullied for an entire football game. They're too well coached. So in the second half, they made some adjustments. This is a Packers offense that had 262 yards of offense at halftime. They finished with 383. So not quite as good in the second half. Of course, 120 some yards, but they're playing with a big lead and they're playing with a backup quarterback who did make a couple key throws in this game. So you had to make hay while the sun shone early on. The Packers had a chance to do that. They had a chance to make it 17-0. And the game at that point is over. It's over if the Packers are able to punch that in. Look, it was a 16 final number and it was good enough to win. If it's 17-0, there's just no way the Colts, with the way Anthony Richardson played and the way that this defense played, was going to be able to match it. And so these are the things that if you had to say for a full season, can you win like this? What you need to not have the bad penalties that they had early. You need to take advantage of those red zone opportunities. You need to make 45-yard field goals when you have them, Braden Narvison. But in a game like this, you did enough on offense and enough on defense to win. And early on, it was the creativity. It was the Jaden Reed design touch game, which we talked about coming in. It was just a million different ways to get to counters. And you use Malik Willis in the run game. The one throw you have to make on third down, and it's a dot to Dontavian Wicks for a touchdown. The Packers were 10 of 17 on third down in this game. 10 of 17 on third down in a game with Malik Willis at quarterback. And he converted a handful of those. It wasn't just the run game getting it done. It was Malik Willis getting it done. And so this is the kind of game that we were talking about coming in. Matt LaFleur was going to be able to concoct something. Now, I thought they would have more stuff in the passing game. They got to some of it a little bit in the second half. I thought we'd see more under center. I guess Malik Willis is just not as comfortable playing that way. I thought they would get to more traditional play action. I thought they would move the pocket a little bit more with Malik Willis. And this, by the way, is something they can get to. But think about the best coaches in the league. With a backup quarterback, we've seen Sean McVay with like John Wolford go win games. We've seen Andy Reid with Chad Henne and Matt Moore go win games. We've seen Kyle Shanahan with a slew of mediocre to bad quarterbacks be competitive, win games with those guys. We haven't had to see Matt LaFleur do that. Matt LaFleur had Aaron Rodgers, and then Jordan Love. So he hasn't had to make up for a quarterback deficiency in a game like this. And what he showed is he can do the 2019 NFC Championship game kind of script where it's just like, here's 50 runs coming at you. And at least for a half, it seemed totally unstoppable. 8 yards per play at halftime when they'd attempted 4 passes. That is Matt LaFleur, and that is attitude. That is your team saying, we can win that way. Your receivers, you're not going to get the football. This is not even no block, no rock. This is just no block, no field, because you're not going to get that many opportunities. Now, Romeo Doubs took care of those opportunities, had the one big play down the field, the 39-yarder. A beautiful go up and get it moment where they actually let Malik Willis chuck the ball down the field. I thought they'd be more aggressive doing that early. See if you could force the Colts to say, well, maybe we need to play a little bit more too high safety than we wanted to. But the fact that the Packers were able to go out without having to have that defense back off, without having to have the safeties go, we have to respect your passing game. To come out and have that happen and still absolutely dominate in the trenches, really on both sides, but especially on offense. Now, in the second half, again, they tried to get a little cute, running some of the same concepts, these long developing runs when the defense is already keying run. That's going to be problematic at times. But then, okay, they go to the boot, and you see Malik Willis make some nice throws on the run. Again, the touchdown is a terrific throw. He's a little late on it, but he's got the arm. Whoosh. It's a dot to Dontavian Wicks for a touchdown. And this is so huge for someone like Malik Willis's confidence, for this team's confidence, for Matt LaFleur's confidence to go, we can win in any circumstance. This Colts team is a team that was being picked to go to the playoffs this year. They just gave the Houston Texans, who are a trendy pick to get out of the NFC, they give that Texans team everything they could handle. It took CJ Stroud completing a 3rd and 11 absolute seed in between the coverage and the sideline to win that game. And the Packers just made them look bad at really the game that the Colts are supposed to be best at. And they couldn't do it. They did not give up the big plays. Now the Colts, they helped in that. The big drop from A.D. Mitchell, Alec Pierce falling down. Sometimes you need some breaks to go your way. But the Packers more than played well enough to win. This was not fluky. This was not, get 17 turnovers and a kick return touchdown and win that way. No, the Packers on both sides of the ball outplayed the Indianapolis Colts for like 55 minutes. And then on the second to last drive, let them do a little too much on one drive when you're up 2 scores with 5 minutes left. So on one hand, I kind of understand it. On the other, you'd like to see him play a little bit better. But this defense ultimately did enough. On the second to last drive, that was the first time in the game the Indianapolis Colts converted a 3rd down. Late in the 4th quarter was the first 3rd down conversion for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's talk about this defense next on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, PrizePicks lets you just play you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less than the stat projection of 2 to 6 players and just watch the winnings roll right on in. You can win up to 100 times your money. That's right. I did not misspeak. Up to 100x. 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct selections. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, secure, and when my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the PrizePicks app and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. When I need food in a hurry, when I'm making dinner, I'm usually cooking in my house. When I'm making dinner, and I forgot avocados. I can just DoorDash it. Just DoorDash it. Oh, what are we having for dinner tonight? Let's just DoorDash it. That's a conversation my wife and I have all the time. Oh, I'm running late. Should we just DoorDash it? DoorDash to the rescue. To the rescue. Some snacks? DoorDash it. Dinner? DoorDash it. That's it. That's it. Get the food you want on game day, on a random Tuesday. DoorDash has all of your local favorites, plus groceries and even alcohol in some participating markets. Use promo code LOCKEDFALL24 for 50% off up to a $10 value, and you spend $15 on that first order. This is a limited time offer, and terms do apply. Promo is not valid for orders containing alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites. Must be 21 or older to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select markets. The Green Bay Packers defense was excellent in this game. And I thought, they played a little soft at the end there. Jonathan Taylor ripped off a couple big runs. 12 for 103. Not ideal. But they, by and large, corralled him for most of this game. Again, a couple big plays, and he's going to get those. But in the passing game, they did. Michael Pittman is supposed to be their #1 wide receiver. He's 3 for 21. They got Alec Pierce at the end, a miscommunication with Jair Alexander and Keyshawn Nixon. No one went to the corner. I have to go back and look at it and see what happened. We hear from Matt LaFleur, Jeff Hafley on what exactly was supposed to happen there. It looked like they were trying to get some sort of banjo call. Whatever happened, this Packers defense, until that final drive, was terrific. They were terrific. Really, the last 2 drives. Like, the Colts got about half of their yards on those final, not quite. But 101 yards on the last 2 drives in a game where they had 338 total. So with the Packers up double digits, they finally gave up some yardage. Devontae Wyatt was a man possessed in this game, going up plenty against Quentin Nelson, who's one of the best interior defensive or offensive linemen in the league. Now, there were a couple weird things. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I did understand getting the rotation. Let's see, Edgerrin Cooper, getting Evan Williams, getting Tyron Hopper on the field a little bit. By the way, Lions lose. We're getting the reaction on the chat. Let's go. This is why it's fun to be here live. We get to all react in real time to that. But so I didn't understand taking Javon Bullard off the field for Evan Williams. I don't know why you wouldn't play like a big nickel. Keyshawn Nixon again gave up some plays in this game, slipped on a play in this game. I don't know what else there is to say about that one. I didn't understand not getting Edgerrin Cooper on the field more. But then, of course, Eric Wilson makes the incredible play on 4th down. Thank goodness he was out there, because he makes that incredible play. And then on the interception late, the Packers, that's a critical play, a critical turnover. The Colts had a little bit of juice going, and Eric Wilson comes out and on an atrocious decision by Anthony Richardson, they get the interception. They had 7 passes defensed in this game. They are competing at the catch point in ways that we just didn't see them do last year. We just didn't see them do that last year. They were not, mostly because they're in these soft zone coverages. They're rallying and tackling. Now they're in more man coverage. They're actually in a position to do this. But Devontae Wyatt had a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss, had another QB hit. It was his pressure on the first Anthony Richardson interception that you go out there and you get. Now, I thought Quay Walker, again, the stat sheet is going to show that he led the team in tackles and a handful of just mind-numbingly bad plays. He's out there to be an athletic linebacker, and a Colts team made him look slow. Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson, I know those guys are fast, but that's what you draft fast linebackers for. That's what Edgerrin Cooper was drafted for. I don't know what else you need to see. But over the course of the game, the Packers handled this Colts team. No big plays. No big plays. I mean, the long Anthony Richardson run at the end, like that does not count. That does not count. 10 points to a Colts team that were able to create 3 50-plus explosives for touchdowns against the Houston Texans, a defense that people thought was a future top 10 kind of unit. And you're going to look at the final stat sheet and you're going to go, okay, well, 6.4 yards per play. That's not very good. But that's not indicative of how this team played, play in and play out. A lot of those were the last 2 drives when the Packers are in prevent and it's just don't give up a touchdown. Play to play, down to down. This Packers defense played extremely well. Let's just recap, shall we? The game starts 3 and out. Colts, 3 yards. Second drive ends in a pick. Third drive, 3 and out. Fourth drive, 6 plays and a punt. That's the end of the first quarter. That's the end of the first quarter. Sorry, that's the end of the first half. So, look, the Packers get a stop on downs to start the second half. They give up a field goal. The Colts miss a field goal, and they get a pick. The interception on the Hail Mary, that's not gonna really excite me that much. But that drive technically ends in an interception. So 2 scoring drives on the day, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is an encouraging sign. Carrington Valentine looks like he might be taking Eric Stokes' job. He had that one great play down the sideline to Michael Pittman. Not sure exactly what happened. We'll get an explanation on that. It didn't seem like Eric Stokes was hurt. So maybe that's just Carrington Valentine's job. I think they're still trying to figure out what Edgerrin Cooper is and isn't good at right now. I think long-term he's their starter, but we have to see. And then, look, Evan Williams made some nice plays in this game. I understand Anthony Richardson overshot A.D. Mitchell, or A.D. Mitchell stopped running, but Evan Williams was going to go make that play. He was either going to get his hand on that ball or he was going to light up A.D. Mitchell. It was one of those two. He was roaming deep half to make that play. And then he gets the interception at the end. Now, he also got beat on a designed wheel route to just get him, or as a post corner. I'd have to go back and watch it. I liked the way that he played, but I'd like to see him on the field with Javon Bullard, who I thought was once again really good. I don't want to see them take, it's one thing to take Isaiah McDuffie or Eric Wilson off the field to put in Edgerrin Cooper and just see what you got. It's another thing to take a good rookie off the field who needs those reps to put on another rookie who, again, I think is good. But this is why when we talk about getting your best 11 on the field, your best 11 includes both Javon Bullard and Evan Williams. So if you have to take off someone else, I don't know, like 25, then that's what you got to do. Now, maybe this is the week with Will Levis and this Tennessee Titans team. They got beat by the Jets, but man, it was ugly. And Will Levis, once again, is terrible. This might be the week that you see a little bit more of that big nickel package. I want to talk about the sustainability of the model the Packers just used to win this game. We'll do that to close out a live Locked On Packers. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time wants to get you into the game. And I'm not talking about a video game. I'm talking about the actual arena. Get there to watch the game live, like you're watching this show right now on YouTube, maybe. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats. It's the new Game Time Picks program. The new Game Time Picks program. So they show you only the best deals. You don't even have to worry about the fluff that shows you, every possible ticket permutation you could possibly get. No, only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Plus, get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy. And the Game Time app gives you the lowest price guarantee. They'll credit you 110% of the difference if you find a ticket in the same section and row for less. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Can the Packers continue to win this way? I think so. Not that they're going to run the ball down every team's throat 50 times a game. They're not going to be able to do that. They're going to have to be able to find a better balance against a team like the Tennessee Titans, who have, I think, a better front. But you saw Matt LaFleur make some adjustments, some second half, some boot stuff, some play action. I think they're going to need to get to some more under center stuff this week. But what I was really impressed with, by the way, the Jets beat the Titans, scored 24 points in a game where Aaron Rodgers goes 18 of 30 for 176, less than 6 yards per attempt. They won because Will Levis is a psychopath. You're not going to be able to run it again 50 times a game. But can you run it 35 times? Can you run it 40 times? I was so impressed with, on a short week, they got a bunch of concepts that we just didn't see. Leaning this hard into put Jaden Reed in the backfield. You're basically playing 11 personnel, so you're inviting the Colts to play nickel. But then Jaden Reed in the backfield, design touches for him. Orbit motion, swing motion, jet motion. You got split gun, pistol, all these, fake the orbit motion, handoff, and then you give on some inside power run where you've got a guard pulling around. They didn't even go to the zone read, which is something that they can keep arrows in the quiver on that one. So they have that part of it. And then you can get to more of this play action. I know they're in the shotgun more, but you can get to shotgun runs. You can get to RPOs, vertical RPOs. You've got another week to prepare now. Another week where Malik Willis feeling confident. By the way, Malik Willis in this football game, just 2 incompletions. And one of them, frankly, I thought was not a drop, but a play that Dontavian Wicks will tell you he should have made. Malik Willis, 12 of 14 in this game. For 122, that's almost 9 yards per attempt with a touchdown. Again, the touchdown was excellent. So can you just make 1 or 2 throws? Can you win a game against the Tennessee Titans where Malik Willis, in a revenge spot, mind you, just makes 1 or 2 throws? Can you win a game where Josh Jacobs carries the ball 30 times? And you don't want him to do that again. You want Marshawn Lloyd to get more touches. You want Emmanuel Wilson. But just look at the run game totals here. I'm not going to go down the list, but people who carried the ball: Josh Jacobs, Malik Willis, Jaden Reed, Marshawn Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson, Bo Melton. Now the second Bo Melton end around did not go well, but you have 6 guys getting rushes for the Packers and 6 guys catching passes for the Packers. I think there's more they can do there in the design touch game. That little push pass on the jet motion. Do they have time in a week to put that in? Again, I can't believe the volume of stuff that they put in. The quarterback run game. They ran 2 different versions of quarterback draw in this game. Was that stuff that was already in there? Or did they put that in for this week? That means they probably had some version of it in there, but you're getting Malik Willis up to speed. You're repping it. Everybody's running it. And you already have your receivers. Okay, this is a proven concept. Like if they've gone out and lost this game, the Colts come down and score on that final drive. How do you convince Christian Watson, who didn't get any love in this game? How do you convince Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs and Bo Melton and Dontavian Wicks to go out there and block like this again? Again, how do you do that if you don't have success? But you did. It worked. And that is a credit to Matt LaFleur and this coaching staff. And you have to have faith that if Jordan Love is going to take 3 more weeks, the Vikings suddenly look like a much tougher opponent than they did to start the season. The Vikings just beat the 49ers 23-17. Now, Brock Purdy played pretty bad, sounds like. Didn't get a chance to watch it. At least had a really bad interception. Sam Darnold had a 97-yard touchdown. Like, don't do that, maybe. Brock Purdy had a fumble. But the way that you can win some of these games is make enough plays with your quarterback, just a couple throws, run the ball well with the creative way that your coach is going to be able to manufacture touches for you. And then this defense. The defense is going to create turnovers against Sam Darnold. The defense is going to create turnovers against Will Levis. Will Levis is just going to YOLO his way into 1 or 2 every game. Doesn't it make you wonder? An organization that gave up on Malik Willis for Will Levis, and Will Levis looks like this. And Malik Willis, I understand the run game was a big part of what they were able to do today, but it's a winning football game. Malik Willis did not put the ball in harm's way at all, ever. Understanding he was asked to do something a little bit different, but like, just interesting. Just interesting. The defense is going to have to create turnovers. They're not going to have to do that every week with Jordan Love at quarterback because the Packers are going to be able to score 30 in a given week. The reporting from Ian Rappaport is week 5. The reporting from Diana Rossini was week 4. But Ian has been saying 3 weeks or sooner from the beginning. 3 weeks or sooner would be week 4-ish. Right? Could he, is he going to practice? How much do you buy what happened this week with Matt LaFleur and keeping the door open? Was he ever really that close? Doesn't seem like it, but he's standing on the sidelines. He didn't just sit the whole game. He's standing up, cheering for his guys. Now that's different than going and playing quarterback, but if the Packers need to get another one of these games, like if you can just go out and beat the Titans, then you can kind of afford to lose to the Vikings. Not that you want to, of course not. But you give yourself a cushion, and then you give yourself a chance to, if he comes back soon, then you have a chance to go 3-1 to start September, and that's where you always were. The Packers have some things to clean up. The penalties are still a problem. They've got to play more disciplined, but all those outside runs, you're gonna have some penalties. 6 penalties for 50 yards in this game. They were only 1 for 3 in the red zone, though one of those was a turnover. They were about to go in and score. Those are the little things that if you just clean those up, yeah, they can beat the Titans. They can even beat the Vikings. But it looks like the Vikings are going to be a tougher task than initially thought. I know that some people in the chat are mad about the defense. Look, Quay Walker had some bad plays. The defensive front gave away contain. You're going to have the last drive and a half in your mind. The Colts were held out of scoring in the first half, and it wasn't even really ever close. They did not get their first 3rd down conversion until the 4th quarter. Packers defense played well. And the fact that they held an explosive offense to 10 points when you got poor linebacker play, when you had a couple misalignments and missed assignments on outside contain. That tells you a lot about where that this defense can get to. I do think you just need to play Adrian Cooper. Like, I know that they're going to give Quay Walker a long leash. You have Edge Cooper, you have Tyron Hopper. Those guys need to be a bigger part of the rotation. You're going to see when we get the snap counts on Monday that Edgerrin Cooper did not play enough. And at a certain point, they just have to give up the ghost on this Quay Walker thing. He's just not the guy that they drafted him to be. So you have to give someone else an opportunity. This is a great win for the Packers. They've gone up against two of the best offensive lines in the league. They've contained those offenses in the pocket anyway. Not like Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson ran all over them, escaped, had all day to throw. None of those things were true. Now they get to go up against Will Levis, who's not a statue in the pocket, but is not very good in the pocket, and a bad offensive line. Oh yeah, the Packers can go eat against the Titans in Tennessee. We'll be previewing it all next week as we get through all of it. So let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Anywhere you get podcasts, you'll find Locked On Packers. Go subscribe. You can also go on our Instagram page, follow us there. You can go on our TikTok page, follow us there, our YouTube page where we are live right now, because we're going to be here again next week, live after the game, so you can stay Locked On Packers.